After a decade of waiting, Zombieland Double Tap is finally here. A lot has changed in the 10 years since the first movie. The public zombie obsession came and went. Abigail Breslin, or Little Rock, is now all grown up and playing a bigger part than ever in Zombieland 2. Today, we'll explain exactly why.
I'd really like for you to stop calling me little girl.
The pseudonyms that the main crew take on in the first film are based on their respective cities of origin. Columbus, no offense to the good people of Ohio, is not the most flashy, sexy, or exciting place in the world. Tallahassee, on the other hand, is the capital of Florida, and Florida is known for being the home of the megachurch, alligators, and the country's consistently most outrageous news stories. The perception of the state is generally that it's hot, sticky, and all over the place, just like Tallahassee. As for Little Rock, she's named after the capital of Arkansas. The town is famous for being at the center of political controversies. Right after Board versus Brown of education, the fight to desegregate schools came to a head when the Little Rock Nine tried to exercise their legal right to attend a desegregated public school, and were met by a mob of racist protesters. In the tough-on-crime early 90s, Little Rock had one of the highest per capita murder rates. National political narratives that can seem abstract have played out here in very real terms. But just like any other city, people still live in Little Rock. Little Rock, the character, is hardened at a young age, just like her town of origin. At the age of 12, she can shoot a gun with the best of them, and holds up better than most adults against hordes of zombies. But 10 years after the first film, she's tired of being the one who has to keep it all together. So she takes off with Berkeley, the hippie who hails from the affluent California college town, who probably would have had a cushy safety net provided by his academic parents were it not for the zombie apocalypse. Most zombie movies are only literally about zombies, and Zombieland Double Tap is no different. Naming characters after towns is more than just a fun way of mocking people from the Bay Area or Florida. The movie itself is about the social landscape of the USA today, or what it could have been. The movie takes place in 2019, but in a 2019 where a zombie apocalypse took over in 2009. One of the main settings at the beginning of the film is the White House, but frozen in time. The grounds are overgrown and the hills are empty. The image of the White House that hasn't been occupied since Obama is about on the nose as it gets. The next main hideout for the crew is Graceland, the erstwhile home of Elvis Presley, and a quintessential example of American excess that is modeled, at least partially, on the design of the White House, although the inside couldn't be further removed from it, with stained glass windows between rooms, a meditation garden, and what's called a jungle room. The group finishes the movie at the Babylon Commune, a stark contrast to both the White House and Graceland. The cars they drive have similar connotations. There's the Beast, which used to be Obama's presidential limo, upgraded to handle not just assassination attempts, but zombies. There's also Albuquerque's monster truck, a luxury RV, and maybe the most American car of all, a minivan. The 1996 Pontiac Trans Sport, to be precise. At the center of all this American stuff is Little Rock's trajectory, which is quintessentially American. She strikes out on her own, heading west to the promised land of hippies. It turns out that the hippies are kinda culty, as they tend to be, and so they all meet back up and leave the commune together. Abigail Breslin as Little Rock was an undeniable highlight of the first Zombieland back in 2009, but she got her start in acting years before, at the age of 3. She starred in a Toys R Us ad as a little girl who's taken the Toys R Us to celebrate a major milestone in her life. Her one line, which she repeats over and over proudly to all the store's employees, is,
"I'm freaking potty."
Regardless of the nature of the role, what's important here is that Breslin has been working since she was the age of 3. You can imagine that by the time she shot Zombieland at age 12, she was much more mature than the average tween. What was so intriguing about the 12-year-old Little Rock is that she looked like a kid, but would, out of nowhere, reveal herself to be the most capable zombie killer of the group, due to her practice playing, quote, violent video game. This startling maturity is also on display in Breslin's portrayal of Olive in Little Miss Sunshine, a role for which she received a lot of praise, including an Oscar nomination. However, since the first Zombieland, Breslin hasn't had the same success, especially in the last couple of years. She has dialed back the amount of roles she's taken on. Little Rock's story is informed by this real-life trajectory in Zombieland 2. Right at the beginning of the movie, she runs away from the rest of the dysfunctional family when she meets a hippie named Berkeley who's got a car and a bag full of pot. As a reason for her departure, she cites the fact that Tallahassee is too overbearing of a father figure and wants to strike out on her own and drive to Babylon, a hippie commune where there are no weapons. Just like Breslin was born into a life of acting, getting her first job at age 3 and her first Oscar nomination at age 12, Little Rock was likewise robbed of her childhood by a zombie apocalypse that forced her to be a gun-toting adult. In Double Tap, she's tired of the predestined path and wants to strike out on her own. What did you think of the new Zombieland? Was 10 years really worth the wait? Let us know and be sure to subscribe to CBR. See you next time.